My name is Andrew Branstead, and I used to be a lot of things. You know, when you're a little kid, everyone always asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I feel like I've spent the last 3 decades trying to answer that question. Or maybe I've been trying really hard to avoid answering that question. So here I am in college, almost 40 years old, almost. And the question for this project is, where are you from? The short answer is Mason City, Iowa. If you don't know Mason City, and here I don't mean whether you've heard of it or not, I mean whether or not you know it. Let me try to explain. According to the official website, Mason City is the county seat for Cerro Gordo County in north central Iowa and is located approximately halfway between the capital cities of St. Paul, Minnesota and Des Moines, Iowa. What does it say about a city when its official website touts its proximity to 2 different cities? An inferiority complex, maybe? It certainly doesn't feel like much of a brag. I guess what this website says about Mason City is that it's conveniently located, especially if you'd like to go somewhere else. And for 27 years, I never thought I would leave. Why would I? Most of my family was here, most of my friends from high school were here too. It's not like there's anything particularly wrong with the town, there isn't. The thing is, you can't really know a place until you leave it. Otherwise, your perspective will always be from the inside, looking out. So when I was practically 30 instead of practically 40 like I am now, I decided to do what every other 18-year-old was doing, and joined the Army. It was off to basic training for me. And then it was off to advanced individual training for me. And then it was off to San Antonio, Texas for me. From there, the Army sent me to a whole bunch of places. Djibouti, Africa, Qatar, Turkey, Japan, Afghanistan, Bahrain, South Korea, Germany. I don't know, I think I had a really long layover in Amsterdam at one point. Does it count if you don't leave the airport? All those places played a big part in who I am. I learned that I love to travel. I learned that I could sleep practically anywhere. I learned just how hot a place can be. Talking about you, Qatar. When I finally came back home to Iowa, the whole state looked different. Different, but the same. Same corn, same culture of farming and growing and Midwestern outlook. And yes, my family was here. My mom grew up in Mason City too. Although she had her own exodus, her destination was a little less exotic than mine, the mountains of Colorado. But life and circumstances brought Mom back to Mason. Life and circumstances and an old red pickup truck. She was born there, and sometimes when things go sour, the best thing you can do is go back home. Speaking of birth, I was born at Mercy Hospital in Mason City, Iowa. 3 of my 4 kids were also born at Mercy Hospital in Mason City, Iowa. If you count my mother, that's 3 generations of people born and growing up in the same town. Sounds like roots to me, you know? I've asked Mom about our family's history a bunch of times. It's a common and pretty fertile area to explore for class projects. Recently, when I was visiting home, she lent me a book containing a little of the history of her side of the family. They were German immigrants living at the time in Russia, in a place called Grim, Russia. A quickly depopulated farming region on the river, no longer even found on the map. My mother's father, my grandfather, came to America as a boy in the early 20th century. The parents who brought him, my great-grandparents, came for the same reason people always pack up their lives and cross oceans or rivers or imaginary borders. They were looking for something better somewhere else. That they chose Iowa of all places now seems deeply profound to me. Here I was fleeing the place, going all the way to Africa and Asia and even back to Europe just to make a living. And they sacrificed comfort and the one-time security of their previous lives to do the opposite. They crossed oceans to seek new lives in the vibrant farmlands of the Midwest. They chose Iowa. I like to think that my travel has given me a kinship with these people who were gone from the world before I was even born. Like them, I left the comfort zone of my home and set out for new pastures. Like them, I found myself in the Midwest. I don't know where life and circumstances will take me next. I do know where I am from. Mason City, Iowa, halfway between Des Moines and the Twin Cities. It may have taken 40 years, almost 40 years, but I like to think that I finally have a pretty good idea of what it means to be from Mason City.